Revenue Forum is a non-profit initiative started by me in 2008. Currently, we organize webinars. We hold these on Thursdays every 6 weeks. Half-day seminars in 10 cities in 8 countries. Coming seminars will be held in Stockholm, Gothenburg, and Copenhagen in June. And more information at the end of this webinar. Whole day events, and this is a unique hybrid event held simultaneously online as well as physically in Stockholm, London, Milan, and most probably more cities throughout the world. The next one is planned on the 7th of February next year. The topic of this episode is rate parity, a never-ending story. And we have invited an expert panel, as well as our special guest, Sophie Martinez from Accor, to talk about their view on the subject. We will close off the hour with a panel discussion. Participants of this webinar are a broad mix of listeners from all over the world. They are hotels ranging from 2 to 5-star, independent and large brands. And we will try to make this coming hour inspiring to you all. Our expert panel consists of 4 speakers, and our special guest comes from Accor. Expert speakers will each get 5 minutes to talk, and we will use a Pecha-Kucha format. This means that the presentation slides automatically change after 20 or 30 seconds. Let me start with the introduction of the speakers and give the word to Fritz Muller to introduce himself.
Thank you very much, Annemarie. Hi, I'm Fritz Muller. I'll introduce myself further later on, but it's a pleasure to be here.
My name is Annemarie Gubanski, and apart from being the organizer of Revenue Forums, I'm the CEO and founder of Taktikon Consultancy and our soft brand Taktikon Hotels. Today, I will talk about the relationship between OTA dependence and rate parity.
Hello, everybody. My name is Diane Wennerland, and I represent the DH Hospitality Solutions. And I will say a little bit more later on, but I'm very happy to be here today.
Hello, my name is Fiona. I head up marketing at the Hotels Network. And today I'm going to be talking about rate disparity. Should we accept them or try to find a solution?
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Sophie Martinez from Accor, working for the Société Munich Buyer Post. And I will speak later about some questions which will be asked by Annemarie.
Yeah, and a very special welcome to you, Sophie. It's always nice to hear people from the industry speaking. Now, let's see if we can go into our Pecha-Kuchas first and give the word over to Fritz Muller. Fritz, are you ready?
Yes, thank you very much, Annemarie. Very excited to kick off with the Pecha-Kuchas here. So to just state the topic that I'm going to be talking about, I'll be talking about the source of disparities and how to manage them. So first of all, my name is Fritz Muller. I live in Barcelona and I'm originally from Munich in Germany. I've previously worked in hotels as well as in an OTA, and I'm now Vice President of Enterprise and Strategic Partnerships at RateGain, where we specialize on distribution, business intelligence, and marketing technology. Amongst other business intelligence products, we have a parity solution for hotels called Parity Plus, but let's start at the beginning. In order to talk about the never-ending story of parity, we first have to talk about where it comes from. Let's be clear, the root cause of disparities is distribution and the nature of today's distribution. Would hotels still work only with their reservation books, they would not have parity problems. From that basis, there are then different elements within distribution that cause individual disparities. The reasons can vary from tech problems, partners cutting commissions, bait and switch rates, and on-route distribution, to just name a few. There is a reason for hotels distributing today, and to be successful, hotels have to have a sound distribution strategy to expand their reach and increase their chances to attract new clients. At the same time, disparities cause damage to hotels, as they will lose margins if they lose a direct booking. Significantly higher damage is caused at brand level if a customer feels that they will get a better price from another party all the time. In that case, hotels don't only lose today's booking, but also the loyal direct customer of tomorrow. To get a full picture of, we also have to ask which of the involved parties can actually claim that they have an overview and therefore control of the entire distribution landscape. Hotels can only see their direct distribution partners. It's the same for wholesalers and OTAs in a B2B environment. They will only see their first level onward distribution partners. Tour operators can only control the allotments they get and who they pass them on. The bottom line is that no party has a full overview. Technology is key to untangle the net of distribution. When it comes to technology, the one pressing question I always get is, can your technology solve my parity problem? My short answer is always no. To solve your parity problems once and for all, you have to stop distributing altogether. For most hotels, this is just not an option. It's our view that hotels need technology to manage parity, to get clarity on what the actual problem is in order to build a distribution strategy with the right partners and always have a finger on the parity pulse. Our parity technology, Parity Plus, takes a three-phased approach to find the core parity problem. The three phases are designed to create an internal actionable feedback loop on a chain or a hotel level to centrally track the causes of as many disparities as possible. This leads to an accumulative and relevant result in a bigger picture. With visibility of their own bigger picture problems, hotels can take big action to take more control of rate parity. The three phases we work with are analysis, action, and closing the loop. In the analysis phase, we evaluate if a hotel has a parity problem and how bad it is on a daily basis. Our user interface tracks a win-meet-lose ratio of all hotels across a combination of direct connections and meta channels. Per day, we show a wide spread of breakdowns on areas such as disparity price drops, criticality, top violating channels, and many more. We also provide screenshots of every disparity found to collect tangible evidence where needed. The action phase is designed for hotels to act upon the information that we gather. Hotel users can alert each other about specific disparities and start assigning reasons to them within the tool. The end goal of that step is to categorize as many disparities as possible. Hotels also can use screenshots of disparities to flag them with their direct channels. And in order to evaluate onward distribution disparities, we also offer a test booking service to our partners. Every action and results are tracked in the user interface. In phase 3, we close the loop and gain deeper insights in the overall parity situation. As disparity reasons accumulate, we can get an increasingly clear hotel-specific picture of different reasons and their weightage. In addition, the accumulation of test bookings leads to an increasingly clear indication about which contracting partner is responsible for most onward distribution. The condensed overview of the action data gives hotels a better understanding of where their problems come from and helps the hotels to take the right action to improve their parity. I'm of the opinion that disparities are in general not good for any side of the industry, as they create confusion for consumers and brand damage for any participating party in the ecosystem. As much damage as disparities can cause, the cost of not participating in distribution would by far outweigh these damages. Therefore, disparities have to be considered a necessary evil. In conclusion, hotels need to have a solid process and technology in place that helps them to manage their parity landscape and to choose the right partners of distribution. Disparities won't be solved, but they can be managed. Wow, it was faster than I thought.
How nice. Thank you so much. I think actually in my speech, I will have about the same kind of conclusion, but then in a different angle. So nice. Thank you for your insights. We'll speak again at the end of this webinar when we have our discussion panel. But so long, it's up to me. And I would say to Juliana, let's go. My name is Annemarie Gubanski, and I'm founder of Taktikon, which is a consultancy company specialized in revenue management and distribution. I'm also co-founder of Taktikon Hotels, which is a soft brand for independent hotels who would like to remain independent together with us. In these 5 minutes, I thought to talk about the relationship between rate parity and OTA dependence, and will try and convince you that they actually are closely related. At the end of my speech, I will give you 2 alternative strategies to choose from. Rate parity has been a hot topic even before I started to organize revenue forums in 2008, and we'll probably talk about these for some years to come. Rate parity came into our lives when internet changed everything and gave us a concept eventually called online travel agencies, which meant that our rates on the several channels got more transparent and our guests started to question why it was cheaper elsewhere. As we did not have any idea either, we wanted to control our rates. Having the same rates on all channels sounded like a simple idea at the time, but showed to be a bit more complex, often because of the actions of the OTAs. For instance, some time ago, Expedia ran a campaign in Asia on one of our hotels where they used their commission to offer a rebate. Booking found out and applied their Booking Basic rule, which caused Expedia to contact us and question why Booking was offering lower rates. Rate parity is possible to keep, but this possibility is very closely related to the dependence on the OTAs. And let me explain what I mean. Generally speaking, hotels in high occupancy markets with an average yearly occupancy of at least 80%, as well as the known hotel brands such as Accor, Starwood and Hilton, are less depending on the OTAs compared to the independent hotels in markets with lower demand, where we really need to work hard to get our fair share of reservations. In these markets, the independent hotels rely on the OTAs to help them reach out to guests they otherwise would not have been able to reach out to. Now, campaigns are a very effective way to increase volume coming from these channels, but it is also these campaigns that cause rate parity issues, as both OTAs have a different way of handling them. So you cannot make sure that the campaign price the customer sees are the same on Booking as well as on Expedia. If you close off these complaints, including the mobile rates and loyalty rates, you solve about 90% of your rate parity issues. If you would like to offer rebates, say on longer stay reservations or limited time campaigns, you can handle these by using rate codes, which you connect to your channel manager and open or close when you need them. But this is not as effective as the campaigns on your OTA's extranet. The more campaigns you have available, the higher volume you might get, but the more campaigns you use also increases the risk of rate parity issues. Now, let's change the subject for a bit and talk about the elephant in the room, commission percentages. We often hear the complaint that OTAs are expensive and hotels close them off or offer extremely high rates to compensate for the cost, but tend to forget that the alternative does not come for free either. In order to increase direct reservations, you will need to invest in digital marketing, have an excellent website, and be very active on your social channels. You cannot do the one without the other, unfortunately. Over the years, we have seen the shift from revenue management to a more agile way of working, where the revenue team is very involved in marketing. We welcome this. As for us, we cannot do the one without the other. This trend can help hotels to decrease distribution costs over time and increase direct reservation, which in its turn gives the possibility to get a better communication with our guests and change the shift to a personalized loyalty program, as we talked about in our last webinar. Moreover, it can decrease OTA dependence and rate parity issues. Now, my key takeaways I hope to give you is that rate parity and OTA dependence are very closely related. If you would like to decrease rate parity issues, the best way to go forward is to increase brand awareness, make people know that you exist and get them interested in you. Now, that is hard work and it involves an investment in time, knowledge and technology. It starts with understanding who you would like your brand to appear, how you would like your brand to appear, and who your ideal customers are. The alternative is that you are dependent on OTAs and wholesalers for that matter, but it also means that you will have to make sure that you work actively with your distribution channels and make sure you are bookable there. That involves high commission rates, and it also results in rate parity issues. Some of our hotels have chosen the latter strategy, which means that we help them with all rate parity discussions with the OTAs. Of course, we do that. Now, that was already the end of my 5 minutes. I hope you enjoyed them. And if you would like to know more about Taktikon, or if you would like to know about Taktikon hotels, I think you know where to find me. Thank you so much for listening. And also me, I will just make sure that I participate in the panel discussion afterwards. So with that said, we have our next speaker already ready, I hope. Diane, are you ready?
Yes, I think I am. Hello, everybody again. My name is Diane Wennerland, and I'm with DH Hospitality Solutions. I'm very happy to be here today and to contribute to this session. I'm based in Sweden. I'm originally from Germany, but based in Sweden, and work mainly in Scandinavia, but also a couple of other Northern European markets. And I've spent my 25 plus working years in both sales and marketing, as well as technology and distribution for both hotels, hotel groups, and also tech providers. So, and now with DH Hospitality Solutions, we provide a 360-degree suite of reservation and distribution solutions for mainly independent hotels and groups. And with that, I think let's roll and start the session. So we've already heard quite a bit about rate parity challenges and the causes and how to handle them. So I'd like to focus more specifically on how parity, or the absence of it, influences a hotel's digital marketing strategy and the impact on the effectiveness on especially meta search. As always, there are many factors playing into this, and one view never applies to all hotels, but we'd like to look at some of the points you may consider when planning your digital marketing activity. There's often the assumption that rate parity equals distribution control. So as long as we manage to distribute our rates in the right way and control promotions, etc., then we have things in hand. But one important factor that actually really determines whether we can control the distribution is not only the parity of the rates, but also payment collection. Because the moment we do not collect the booking payments that were made for the bookings that were made online, the moment we don't collect them ourselves, either in the booking process or on property, we leave ourselves vulnerable to third parties changing the game. And we have de facto lost that distribution control. So that becomes visible in this slide, where you then will see how different prices apply to different payment methods. And the moment we do not collect physically the payment, we are actually always open to somebody else using that margin to reduce the price. And when we look at this in the meta search results, here's a classic example where the hotel's direct rate is undercut by a whole bunch of third-party sites. This hotel features amongst the first 4 results, but the rate discrepancy will lead to a lower click-through rate, which means a lower quality score in advertising terms. And that in turn results in higher costs for the hotel to maintain its position, and therefore a higher cost for each click. So given the rate parity issues here, the question is the top ad space really a good place to be? Because at the end of the day, all of this comes down to ad rank, which is the KPI defining the position of your link. The click-through rate I just mentioned is important because a good CTR leads to a good expected CTR, which becomes one component of your ad rank. And here's also where it gets interesting when we look at the actual rates you display through meta search, because they have a very direct impact on your ad rank and the visibility you get for your investments. In meta search terms, we have 2 main components which kind of play into this auction-based game. We have the auction bid, so the CPC. How much is each advertiser willing to bid for the click? We all know that large OTAs have deep pockets and large sums to throw at bidding budgets, something that we as individual hotels don't always have. But then there's also the attractiveness of the offer, so the room selling price. Of course, a better price means higher attractiveness, which increases the chances of a click, and therefore income to the meta provider. So if we look at 2 examples, the first one being a parity situation where this offer from all main advertisers features the same rate, which is good in a way as it suggests consistency and reliability to the consumer. But it also means that the ad rank is determined mostly by the bid amount of each of the competing sites, And subsequently, we can also see that the difference of 10 cents in the bid amount leads to more than 50% fewer clicks, despite the hotel site being amongst the top 3 ads. Now, if we turn this around, in the second example, the hotel purposefully advertises a lower price on their direct website. So here we have intentional rate disparity. Again, the hotel occupies the third spot, but with a clearly lower rate. Now, the bid amount still plays a deciding role for all other advertisers with the same rate, where but this strategy has other knock-on effects, and not every hotel might consider it. And of course, even if you do, it's never that easy, because there are other pitfalls to watch out for and to make sure you stay in control of. Beware of temporary OTA promotions or margin reductions, which target not only different source markets, but also devices. In this example, although the hotel successfully features a lower direct rate on desktop, it's yet again undercut on the results showing on a mobile device. And we should also watch what happens with Meta on multiple sites. At a glance, all is good here. Consistently lower direct rate, featured spot, great. But this hotel just started Meta on TripAdvisor, who are also going out on Google with that same lower rate. And to make matters worse, click on that TripAdvisor link, and the lower direct rate is very timidly sitting on the sideline. Instead, the user sees a bold yellow deal button from booking.com. You kind of get the billboard effect here, just in reverse, unfortunately. So to sum up a few points, you do get added visibility through digital marketing, whether you are in parity or not. Do not leave that field to the OTAs. And if you offer parity rates, encourage users to book direct through added values on your own website. If you want to start off, use lesser risk commission models on Google and keep monitoring your results and adjust. You need to try things out. And of course, the basics, aid conversion with a relevant and functioning website and booking engine, not forgetting solid payment solutions for those direct bookers. And that was my bit. Thank you very much. If anyone like to know a little bit more about how we at The Edge can help with your digital marketing efforts or other areas related to direct bookings and distribution, please send me an email or have a look on our website. Happy to help. Thank you.
And thank you, Diane. I think it's going to be a bit of a topic as well during the panel discussions, like the meta search question. And I think it was a very clear explanation of actually the challenges we have there. To the participants, I received a question, which is the first time during the history of the Revenue Forum webinars. Thank you very much for that, Jen. I will answer them after the next speaker and the interview with Sophie. If anybody else has any questions to ask, please just let us know. The question and answer and the chat box are open for you for anything. With that said, I think that Fiona is more than ready to start her minutes.
Ready to go. Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Fiona. It's a pleasure to be here. As I said, I head up marketing at the Hotels Network. I've been doing marketing for 25 years. I'm showing my age, the majority of which in the hospitality industry, starting on the OTA side of things. And then the past 10 years, I've been more on the hotel tech. So at the Hotels Network, we're helping thousands of hotels all around the world to grow their direct bookings by engaging, converting guests throughout the user journey. And one of the key elements is removing any friction from the user experience. I mean, you don't want to give guests any reason to hesitate. And so managing price disparities effectively is a part of that. So let's dive in. So based on the discussion so far, I think it's clear today that there's a question around price disparities. I mean, should we just accept that it's something that exists and this is to do with the distribution today, or should we be looking for solutions to solve the issue? I mean, and it's probably somewhere in between, because I think it's almost impossible to avoid disparities. I mean, it's the nature of distribution, but I do believe that it's something that hotels can definitely learn to manage better. And I think the key thing is that they take back control and they decide when to take action. So thinking about disparities, it's important to look at the sort of two sides of the coin. So firstly, how often is the disparity occurring? So what percentage of searches that users are doing, what percentage of searches are they finding a cheaper rate on third parties? And secondly, if there is a disparity, how much is your rate being undercut by? And it's basically a combination of these two elements is what causes the issue and means that you're losing out on a high volume of direct bookings and obviously revenue. So how big is the disparities issue today? So here in the screenshot, you can see some data, and this is data taken from our global networks of hotels. This data specifically for the past 30 days. On the left, you can see the frequency, and on the right, you can see the disparity amount. And it's been broken down by market based on the hotel's location. So you can see quite often disparities around 12, 13% in terms of frequency, with some exceptions of Ireland, where it goes up over 15%. And in Germany, in terms of amount, it's quite high at 16%, whereas it's only 7% in Norway whenever we're talking about amount. If you then want to look at your own hotel's performance, this is critical for you to take back control. So whether you're using the hotel's network or one of the other reporting tools available, it's really worth taking a deep dive into the data. So in this example, you can drill down on the individual search level. And you can see maybe there's issues with certain markets or a type of booking. And there's something useful as well, it was already mentioned, is always to have this automated screenshot so that you can send this to an OTA if you are alerting them about issues with disparity. But if you want to take it a step further, you can look at benchmarking so that you're analyzing not only your own hotel's performance, but you're able to compare your performance to the market. So you can see where you're underperforming in terms of disparities and then identify opportunities to improve. And so this screenshot is taken from our tool Bench Direct, which is a benchmarking tool for your whole direct channel, and disparities is one area of this. So you can see that you can compare your hotel's performance to multiple comp sets, such as other properties in your brand or other similar hotels located to you, near to you, or even your own custom comp set. But when it comes down to it, the reality is whenever you analyze your data, you're probably going to see that you do have disparities, and it all comes down to communication and how you manage this. So there's two scenarios. Either the OTA is undercutting your rate, and if so, it's important to act on this and look for solutions, or the OTA is not undercutting your rate, and in which case it's critical to let your website visitors know that they won't find a better deal elsewhere, ever. And so it's all about communication. If we look at some of the examples, so as I said, if you do have the best rate, then highlight this on your website and so make sure users know about it. So in this widget, all the rates are shown in real time to guarantee accuracy, and they have the most relevant OTAs visible for that specific market based on the IP address of the user. And also what I like in this example is the personalized message within the widget that's inviting users to become a member of SLH so that they qualify for an exclusive rate. So everything that you can do in this area is definitely going to drive the conversion rate on your website. If you're in the unfortunate situation that your rate is being undercut, the risk is that the user is going to find this rate, book through the third party. So not only will he be booking at a lower rate, but on top of that, you're going to have to pay commission. But luckily, technology today means that it's actually possible to price match automatically. So with price match, you have full control. So you can decide if and when to match, and then user rules and to define this. So for example, if your rate's been undercut by a 3%, then you can automatically offer a 4% discount using a promo code that's applied automatically. In this next example, you can see, for example, if a visitor is about to leave your website, an exit intent message can be triggered automatically. So this is like when somebody's about to click on the little X and close that page. And so you can show a message, a personalized message that reassures a user there's no need to look elsewhere, that you offer the best rate, and you can even offer additional perks or incentives to get them to confirm that booking right there and now on your website and not go back to the booking.com or the expedia.com where maybe they found your property in the first place. And again, you can use targeting rules to make sure this message is as relevant and personalized for the user that's seeing it. Okay, so in summary, I would say it is definitely worth tracking your disparities to identify any issues, to benchmark how your brand is comparing to see where the opportunities are for you to improve. I would say don't sit back, take action, and look at how you can combat disparities using price matching, making sure you're offering exclusive benefits to book direct, and to ensure that users know you offer the best rate always. So if you would like to chat more about how to manage disparities or your direct channel strategy in general, feel free to contact me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, just scan the QR code here, or I'm easy to find. Or if you prefer, feel free to reach out to me by email. I think on the following slide, we mentioned there's my email address. And if you've got any questions now, feel free to put them in the chat. But otherwise, I know this is the sort of topic that the questions come up later on. So at any point, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll see how I can help. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Fiona. Now I need to give my Juliana, who is in the end of is after the presentations, a bit more time, because I sent her the wrong pack. Juliana, can you load the new one? So Fiona, actually, what I think the reason why you do this price parity with the code, with a special code, is that also because you want to have to avoid the thing that Diane actually was talking about, that then the meta searches are just like going to find that lower rate and then target that one again?
Yeah, because the way that we do it, the hotel manages the discount that they're going to give, for example, to do the price match using promotional codes. But the promo code is never visible to anyone, and it's not something that then can be shared online or anything. And as soon as the person clicks on, I want to accept this exclusive offer, it's applied automatically within the booking engine, and so it's totally transparent, and that can't be affected or picked up on.
No, okay, very nice. Okay, our assistant Juliana, I have a message to you. It's this spec that is changed. There's another slide in the beginning. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, so we have our special guest with us, and she is Sophie Martinez, and she works for Accor. Sophia, thank you so much for wanting to be here. It's always a pleasure to hear somebody from the hotel industry to talk. Before I ask you 3 questions, could you tell a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yes, of course, and thank you very much, Annemarie, for inviting me to speak about rate parity and how we deal with it on site at the hotels. So I am Sophie Martinez, as you said, from Accor since 2017. I worked for Sofitel only, so just luxury hotels in Asia Pacific and in Europe. And I am now based in Munich since a few weeks into this beautiful property behind me, the Sofitel Munich Bayer Post.
Thank you. Before that, you had the Navy, right? Okay, maybe question number 1, because the reason why I think Accor is so interesting, it's a chain which has a very strict best rate guarantee on their website. How do you avoid rate parity issues?
Yes, indeed. So we do have this best price guarantee policy, and I think I will speak about it more into details later. And before replying to your question, Annemarie, I wanted to be sure that we understand actually why do we have those issues and why is it important to fix them. So first of all, why do we have those issues? As Diane said and Fritz, it could be FIT selling online to contracted and confidential rates. It could be online travel agencies playing with a commission percentage on a specific point of sale, which makes it really difficult actually to detect. And the third point is that, as we all know, with technology, we may have some connectivity issues on any channels, and this can happen. But the result of it is that it's just creating confusion for the guests, because they do see different prices online, and they can actually question whether they pay for the right price. So it is a loss in terms of direct bookings, a loss in terms of guest data, a loss about the trust of the guests, and a margin loss at the end for the hotel. Therefore, it is really crucial to maintain, in my opinion, the rate parity for the brand image consistency and also for the value proposition that we provide to the guests. And now to reply to your first question, Annemarie, so to avoid rate discrepancy, There are 3 steps. So the first step, it's actually to detect and track those issues by using a dedicated rate shopping tool like OTA Insight or RateGain. The second step is actually to determine and to prove who creates the leakage or why do we have any connectivity issues. So we need to know the origin of the issue and to make test bookings in order to prove it. And the third step is actually to act. So we need either to solve the connectivity issue, either to escalate the violations that we found, and maybe to review our relationship either with some online travel agencies or FIT if we want to continue actually to work with them. And I would like to mention from my experience in Asia, and it's actually quite similar to what I have seen from Fritz on RateGain. I used for some years a tool called Fornova, which is actually a dedicated tool to make some test bookings quite easily, because the third steps I mentioned can be quite time consuming. So ideally, it would be much better to have a tool in order to track, make the test bookings, and then the decisions, we will do it as revenue managers. But this tool was really good in terms of providing alerts on days where we do see rate discrepancies impacting really negatively our business, and then to ease the process of multiple bookings to make in a short time. You are on mute, Annemarie.
The most common thing to say on Zoom, right? You're on mute. Other than, can you make me host? Yeah, I think you're quite right, actually. And you see also that OTAs use similar tools because they track the rate parity issues abroad and are very quick to react on it. Now, I think then the second question is quite closely related to it. Are there tricks that you use to keep rate parity, but still offer a better rate on your website?
So we do have with Accor, which is more to reward the loyalty of the guest, a 5 up to 10% discount on our rates, on our offers online. But in my opinion, we do not want necessarily to reduce actually the price on our direct channels because there is an impact in terms of net revenue. But we want to reward the loyalty by maybe providing more. So it's not to reduce, to provide less, but to provide more. And we can provide more, for example, more flexibility in terms of cancellation policy if the guest is booking on direct channels. So it is a good way actually to kind of fight this rate discrepancy. So to provide a better flexible cancellation policy. Then it could be better benefits with a room upgrade, with a welcome drink. And as what we mentioned earlier, it's actually the best price guarantee. The best price guarantee policy, which is, in my opinion, something we need to tackle more. We need to communicate more because it's not enough, in my opinion, to have it only on our own website because the guests, when they do the journey of booking, they will actually not check necessarily on our own website. So it is important to speak about it and to say that actually if you find a lower rate elsewhere within 24 hours of your booking, we do provide a match rate and we actually even provide a 25% discount. So this is a good way to build more trust in the sense that indeed, with thanks to this best price guarantee policy, we want to ensure that we make our utmost to guarantee the best to our guests.
Yeah, as an added question, do you find that there are many times that you need to apply this best rate guarantee that guests find cheaper rates?
Unfortunately, I find not so many times, which is more related to the problem of communication, since it is more our loyal guests, they will know about it. because they use Accor for quite some time, and they will receive actually the newsletter of our changes or our policies. So ideally, what I would like to see in terms of changes is to be able to communicate on the best price guarantee already on the meta search, so that the guests, they can see, oh, maybe yes, there is a better price on this OTA, but I do see that on Accor website, they apply the best price guarantee. So maybe I will make the effort to fill the form and to ask for the match of the rate I found online.
Interesting. Now, completely different question. FIT contracts, do you find that these contracts create less rate parity now that they more often offer dynamic rates?
Yes, definitely. But first of all, I just wanted to say, because we had a lot of changes in the landscape of the hospitality industry, and I think it is important to understand this. And a big part of those changes are actually coming from the new technology tools that we have. And yes, before we had only the possibility to provide and to work with static rates with FITs, which is not the case anymore. So most of the big FITs, like hotel beds, like a Destination of the World or Mickey, they can have what we call the dynamic pricing. And it is true, and it has been proven when I was working in Amsterdam, and it is a feedback of the luxury hotels, that working only with dynamic pricing with FIT, we do see less rate discrepancies, definitely.
Nice to hear. I also had the feeling that this issue was much higher prior to pandemic, and not maybe only because of the dynamic rates, because we used the dynamic rates already there. But I have a feeling that well, we don't really know how the future is going to be. But I have a feeling that actually rate parity issues coming from these channels are a bit less now.
Speaking about future, I think it's actually a good question, because I would see that at some point static rate for FIT will not exist anymore.
No, I think you're right. Oh, thank you so much for your insights, Sophie. Let's see if we can invite our other speakers also and see if they can answer some other questions. We got one question from Jen Morgan, and I'm so happy. I'm proud. This is the first question being asked to me. So how do you get the OTAs to work with you on parity when you are a single independent property? Yeah, well, that actually is a bit also depending on the marketing manager, I think. The way we do it is that we always keep an open dialogue. We know that for our independent hotels, as I tried to explain earlier, for our independent hotels, it's very often so that we do have rate parity issues because we feel that we sometimes need to work with campaigns, and for us it is campaigns that really make it difficult. Like if you have your mobile rate, for instance, it goes to all rate plans for one OTA, but then only for one rate plan for the other. And they don't like it. The thing actually we always keep doing is have like a dialogue, try to make them understand why this happens. Try also to explain that we really would like to solve it, but I mean we also are just like limited by what we're getting offered. We always keep the dialogue. And why I say that it depends very much. Sometimes we have a marketing manager who's really understanding and tries to work with us. That makes it much easier than a marketing manager who just like, well, we had one from one of the OTAs who said, for me, rate parity is very easy. Just give us the lowest rate and you hold rate parity. And that was for us a bit of a difficult question to answer. But then the only thing I can say, okay, we know that rate parity is going to be an issue for a lot of our hotels, specifically independent ones. And the only way we can do it is by keeping a dialogue. But we start also to, this is recorded, right? Between you and me, we also start to just like think, okay, you know what, maybe we can focus on other things. And we sometimes know that there is an issue. But yeah, it is the way of the world. Is that, I hope, Jen, that you found that to be a good answer. Keep an open dialogue. If not, answer another question. Maybe I have like, when we were talking, I think actually I had a question like to Diane, because you were talking about the meta searches, and the meta searches actually, especially when Google started to get into that world, it increased actually in importance, you can say. But then Meta versus direct, how much do you think Meta is actually pushing to direct reservations? Is that a fair question to you?
Well, I think it does, and this is in a way kind of what I wanted to try and bring across. I think despite the issues that we face with Meta, when we look at the rate disparities that we have, and they become sort of blatantly obvious in Meta. So, I mean, they have kind of made it really clear to everybody. Before, you had to sort of go to every site and compare, and now it's right in your face where the discrepancies are. But it still is a way for you to get the visibility. And like I said, you know, despite, you know, you can play with your chances of getting that click by, you know, either playing with your rate or with your budget, but not everybody has that big budget to throw at that. But either way, it will get you added visibility. So what we have seen, we've just recently, this has recently been done a study by The Edge, which is going to come out very soon, actually. And one of the things that we have seen throughout the pandemic, actually, is that direct has increased. So the market share of direct has increased, and we need to kind of try and build on that momentum a little bit more and try and really be active, be out there, and grab that share of the business that we deserve, and then obviously need to follow through with a website that will then also convert, because otherwise all that money and effort is in vain. But I think overall Meta does work, and in particular, I should say, Google. You can argue, I mean, with the TripAdvisor example that I showed you there, you can argue whether you should spread their different sort of religious views on whether you should spread your efforts across various sites or whether you should stick to one. To be honest, I would say if I'm limited with my budget, I would stick to Google, because they are really that one outlet that just has the biggest conversion levels. So
thank you for that. I think, Fiona, one question to you is, do disparity rates differ from depending on the OTA?
Yeah, I mean, we're tracking data from, you know, I think every day from 14,000 hotels worldwide, and we see that there is a big variation. So by market, but yes, definitely by OTAs, and then within the same OTA, it can vary more by market. And I don't think there's a rule. Some of the ones I've seen, for example, you maybe quite often see more disparities from Agoda than you would from a booking.com. But again, it just depends. It depends on the market. And I think this is why it's important to keep tracking the information, to benchmarking and seeing what's happening in the industry, so that then you can compare your performance and go, oh, well, hold on, if the average rate for Agoda in Germany is only 10%, why is my disparity rate at 25% there? So there's obviously an issue specifically with my property. So yeah, it keeps changing. So it's definitely worth tracking.
Yeah, because that's also a follow-up question. Disparity on meta searches. What can be done there then?
Well, I mean, it's the same. The technology that we use to track the disparities on the OTAs is available as well for our clients for the meta search engine. So Trivago, TripAdvisor, and Google Hotel Ads, of course, which is so critical. And so they're able to see the same analytics and drill down the same level of detail to search level as they can for the OTAs. So yes, it's definitely something that we had to introduce, because obviously it just becomes so important in the past few years.
Thank you. We got another question from an independent hotel, and I really understand what you mean. It might be overwhelming to handle both the issues and the possibilities that are out there today. Digital marketing seems like a costly solution. You need to keep on top of all the time, and I really do not see myself being able to take care of it. We are what to do on a small budget. I mean, actually, I understand completely what it is that you say, but let me ask that question. And I think maybe Fritz, you also work a lot with independent hotels. Would you have an answer to that?
Yes, I do, and I agree. It's a lot of different topics to juggle at the same time, and it's increasingly overwhelming, especially with the nature that the distribution landscape just provides, right? So the short answer is, especially, well, actually for all types of hotels, if that's independent or chain related, you have to utilize technology where resources are slim. So that goes into the digital marketing space, that goes into what I've talked about before, figuring out where the problem lies. It goes into the complexities of onward distribution. In the end, the bottom line always has to be, if you see yourself struggling managing all of that, there are solutions out there, and some of them are in this room. That can help you, and then obviously it depends on you have to also evaluate what's the cost, what do you leave on the table by not doing it, and weigh that up against the cost that you have by onboarding set technologies for where you see the need heaviest. So I know it's a very generic answer, but I think it's very hard to give you a very good answer without drilling down into the details of the topic.
No, I can tell you, like independent hotels are most of our clients are independent hotels, and I really realize that, because when we come into the picture and we say, okay, either we work with OTAs or we try to increase your profile and start working with digital marketing. Actually, usually I think what we start doing is the quick fix, and that's the OTAs. But we do offer, what we find is that it's small steps that can help us. It's like work with your Google Analytics, try to find, okay, where are the markets, and just like take small steps. But for us, I think in our help in digital marketing to independent hotels, the smaller ones that are not really ready yet to take the larger step, we usually start working there. Start analyzing it and start just like getting your own key performance indexes. And I know, I'm sorry for all the vendors here, but I understand. I mean, it's sometimes quite a big step for smaller independent hotels to go into a large technology. And I think, but do say that if you don't agree with me, Fiona, especially Fiona and Diane.
No, I was just going to add this. What I was going to say was that if with an independent hotel who's a very limited budget, there are lots of free tools that are available. So exactly as you said, Google Analytics. I'm such a fan of Google Analytics. There's so much that you can, valuable insights you can get from that. For example, the benchmarking tool that we offer, that's completely free to hotels at any time. And there are lots of different tech companies in the hotel tech space and the broader tech space who do also have tools that they offer for free. So I would suggest starting with that. Before, if you're not ready to invest and sign up with a budget, well then, see what's around with the free tools. I
totally agree. Diane?
Yeah, well, I think it also, you always need to consider as a hotel what you can actually do on property. With that, I mean, you can either have the choice between giving everything, do I go OTA or do I try and invest in my own brand and invest the money there? But it's not only about, getting the traffic and even getting the booking. It's then what do you do with that? Because the whole prize of the game would be to have that direct customer, but you can only really convert that into a long-term gain if you are able and willing to put in the work on property at the front office and really retaining that guest and making sure you don't have to fight for him next time around, because then you might as well leave it up to OTAs to do that job because they do it better than you do. So I think that is always the problem that sometimes the tech side forgets. that there is an operational side that needs to be able to manage that guest retention on property. And if you're willing to do that, I think you stand a very good chance as an independent hotel.
Yeah, I think actually, I mean, independent hotels, they do have this very high benefit of being very, very, very quick to react. Me coming from a bigger chain, I mean, it sometimes takes time to implement things. I don't know, Sophie, do you find the same working for a chain?
So I would say it's quite different because indeed we are much bigger. So usually it will be decisions taken at the head office, and there are proper analysis and cost behind, and what will be the margin. After it will depend obviously of also the hotels, if they are managed, franchised, what kind of owners do we have? But I have to say, being part of a big chain is indeed a plus, first of all, because we have this agreement with the main OTAs in terms of commission, booking, and Expedia. And we have a good possibility to use a lot of different dedicated tools. So the challenges are not the same in this area, but we are facing the same challenges in terms of dealing on a daily basis with rate discrepancies. And as you said, it's really a never-ending story. The question is how to solve it, how to act on it, and how this is going to evolve.
Yeah, I think you're right. I got another question on the chat box from Sudesh. What is the difference between MFN and rate parity? And I hope somebody knows, somebody here knows what MFN means. Sudesh, if you are there.
And from what I understand, it's the most favored nation clauses. So I've heard it mentioned in articles and stuff, but I wouldn't know exactly what the difference is. But I think it's something very similar, but it's it's the most favored nation.
I hate it when that happens. Sudesh, you can come to the webinar for free next time you ask the question we don't have an answer to. I actually did have another question, and I think this one is actually for Fritz. I think when it comes to rate parity, we usually talk about, well, the difficulty for hotels, but is this something that only concerns hotels, or do you think that other industries have the same?
Yeah, I touched base on it in my Pecha Kucha already, and I personally work with both hotel accounts, but also with some wholesalers and OTAs. So I've seen both sides of the coin, if I can call it like that. I think a good example, for example, is again going the direction of brand and reputation. If we, for example, take a wholesaler who are pointed at as culprits in the topic of onward distribution. In the end, they only have so much control of what happens to the rates when they pass them on to their first level onward distributor. But what happens from there, as everybody's connected to everybody, where that rate ends up is very much not in their hands anymore, right? So I'm not necessarily talking about the relationship between the wholesaler and the consumer, because the wholesaler normally doesn't touch the consumer. Very much about the relationship between the wholesaler and the hotel partner, where there is a relationship and a branding issue that can very much suffer in the circumstance. So I think under that context, there are difficulties with parities, not only on the hotel side, but also very much on other sides of the industry. We actually help a particular wholesaler with figuring out where their onward distribution ends up in order for them to penalize the people who are passing on rates where they're not supposed to. So it's an interesting ecosystem, and I haven't seen all of it, I'm sure about, but it's just interesting to see that other side of the coin as well in that context.
I think in one of my first Revenue Forum seminars, I was talking about, I had the subject rate parity, and I was talking about it with a revenue manager at SAS, who asked, well, okay, what's the topic? And I said, well, rate parity. And I asked, what is that? And he said, well, okay, the fact that you want to have the same rates on all channels. And he asked me the question that I never expected. Why would you want to have that? Because for the airline industry, it's completely different. It's actually the revenue manager just like decides this is the rate I want to have, and the travel agencies just make up their own rate. They can have a lower rate on their sites or a higher rate on the sites. Airlines don't care about it that much, and they don't really, apparently don't get into this discussion of that's weird. It's this on this side and that on the other side. But the hotels apparently do.
But they don't have the same level of commissions. They're not paying the same level of commission, so it's not such an issue.
Oh no, he actually in the same discussion said, you know, the OTAs, they are very expensive, 3%, I think that they pay, something like that. Yeah, but that's right. But it is, they don't, for them, it's not really an issue because they have a very different way of competition.
It's just a competition issue, I think, as well. I mean, there's a very different competition line. So especially now.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I think, you know, time is flying and we are already at the end of the webinar. I really hope that you found this to be an enjoyable hour. I learned a lot, certainly. Our next webinar will be about finding the right technology with speakers from Taktikon, our guests, Beyond Price and more. You're very free to join again. This has been the last webinar before summer. We start again after summer in September. Also, we started to organize our half-day seminars again. After 2 years of pandemic, it's such a thrill to finally start meeting people. The first one is in Stockholm, Gothenburg and Copenhagen, and they are on the 13th, 14th and 15th of June. Sorry. For hotels, they are free of charge to attend, and it's half-day events with inspiration and mingling afterwards, and they always are quite well attended, she said proudly. We'll send you a recording of this webinar as soon as possible. And this, I would like to thank you so much for joining us and hope to see you next time. Thank you so much. And thank you also so much from our wonderful speakers of today. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye. Thank you.